All right, one last little football topic before we get to my buddy Chris Plank. And it's a real interesting one. And I think, listen, if you listen to the Aaron Torres podcast regularly, you know that while I talk about a lot of stuff, one of the things that I don't generally talk about is high school football recruiting, college football recruiting, because the bottom line is it's just not an easy topic to cover on a national level. There's so many guys, so many different schools, and the bottom line is most of these guys aren't going to have an immediate impact in college basketball the way that the elite freshman basketball or in college football the way that the elite freshman players do in basketball. Just as an example, the number one high school quarterback in this previous class of 2021, his name is Caleb Williams, committed to Oklahoma. He's probably not even going to play at Oklahoma this year except in backup duty because Oklahoma has a star named Spencer Rattler that's learning under him. Spencer Rattler as a freshman didn't play as he backed up Jalen Hurts. And so I bring all this up to say I don't talk a ton of high school football recruiting, but there is an interesting topic that did pop up on Wednesday that I feel like it needs to be addressed, and it comes in the form of the number one quarterback in the high school class of 2022. So a player going into his senior year of high school. His name is Quinn Ewers. He is a quarterback in Dallas, and it appears as though he is going to skip his senior year of high school to go play college football right away. And if this was simply a story of reclassification, I would not talk about it. But what is interesting about it is it's not just that he is reclassifying, it is that he is considering it. No decision has been made, to be clear. But he is considering reclassifying for one simple reason. He believes that he can make money right now due to the name, image, likeness laws and rules at the college level. He cannot make money via name, image, likeness at the high school level. And so he might just skip his senior year of high school to go to college to start making money. And let me just say this. While I completely understand why he would consider this option, while I completely understand that every person has a right to make money, I've never fought against name, image, likeness, I'll also say this. I don't really like it. I feel kind of bad, and I do think this is going to be one of the unintended consequences of the name, image, likeness era in college football and college basketball. And so to get into it, I think I just kind of gave you most of the rundown, but this kid is a really, really, really special player. You can go ahead and find his clips on YouTube, but he is the number one quarterback going into the senior year of high school 2022 class, committed to Ohio State. He's a little bit of a legend already, 73 touchdown passes over the course of the last two seasons, 6,400 yards passing. And what makes him so special is not only is he really talented, he's got a very unique look to him. I actually saw him at the Elite 11 camp about 2-3 weeks ago here in Los Angeles. His game is awesome. Got a little Johnny Manziel wiggle to him. Really fun player to watch, even in workouts and warm-ups and things like that. But he also, again, has a very unique look. He's got a mullet. He's got a bleached mullet, and he is the kind of guy that has a unique skill set and a unique look, and it appears as though he's somebody that will absolutely someday cash in on name, image, likeness. What is interesting about name, image, likeness, though, is that while it's very clear at the college level what's allowed, basically anything, at the high school level, it is much more vague. Some states, many states actually, don't really have anything that specifically says whether you can or cannot make money off of your name, image, and likeness at the high school level. But one state that does is actually the state of Texas. And in the state of Texas, it is actually written into the law that high school players, that athletes cannot make money off name, image, likeness until they get to a higher education level. In other words, until you get to college. It is written in the law. It is written into the legislation. And so while this kid appealed that law in the state of Texas, the controlling board of Texas high school athletics basically said, look, it's the law. There is nothing we can do about this. This kid believes he can make money right away, upwards of $1 million, according to a report from Yahoo Sports. There is actually one kind of Whole Foods type product in the area where he lives that is willing to give him equity in the company. And so this kid is just basically kind of saying, look, I can stay and play high school football for another year, or I can leave a year early, go to college, and start making money right away. And it's kind of an interesting scenario. It's a unique story for sure. And in a lot of ways, to be honest, he kind of has the same decision that basically any college football or college basketball player has had up until the last year or so. In other words, do I jump up a level? In the old days, it was from college to the pros, make money right away, immediately be able to cash checks, or do I stay at this level and essentially play for free? Because right now, Texas high school law says that he cannot make money off his name, image, likeness, even though his parents believe that there is upwards of $1 million to be made. And so when I look at this story in the bigger picture, what I would just say is a couple things. First of all, there was a lot of jokes on social media about the idea of Texas rewriting its laws on the fly for this kid. And to be honest, I really wouldn't be surprised. First of all, we have seen craziness with Texas and Oklahoma in the Big 12 and the SEC. We've seen craziness with NIL. And if it comes down to all of Texas's top high school football players either leaving the state, not playing, reclassifying, going to college, then I'll be honest, they really might rewrite those laws and rewrite everything that was written previously to make sure that these kids stay and play high school football. Beyond that, what I would also say, and I want to get into just my overall opinion on this really quickly, what I would say is I hope most of you have heard me on this show enough to know I am not against name, image, likeness. I hope that is explicitly explained, as I've said a million times. I make money off my name, image, likeness. I've never understood why college athletes cannot do the same, whether it is Cameo, whether it is an autograph signing, whether it is sending out a tweet, whether it is sending out an Instagram post. I've always believed that college athletes should be able to use their platforms, which are increasingly getting bigger at the college level, to make money. I've never had a problem with it. But I do believe this is kind of the beginning of, maybe if you want to call it, the unintended consequences of name, image, likeness, or at very least the slippery slope of name, image, likeness. I do think this is the beginning. And to be clear, before we continue, I'm just going to say it one more time. I'm not against players making money off name, image, likeness. I'm not against players. I'm not against anybody making money selling autographs, signing stuff, taking pictures, whatever it is, going on Cameo. But at the same time, I do think it inherently puts a lot of pressure on these young kids in many cases before they're ready for it. And the crazy thing is, if you've listened to this show for years, I told you this was coming. As somebody who covers college sports, I knew once the agents get involved, the money's going to start to get crazy. And that is exactly what we're seeing. We heard Nick Saban say that his starting quarterback, Bryce Young, might make $1 million before he ever takes a snap as Alabama's starter. Don't know if it's true or not. Some people think Saban was bragging or overselling it for the fact that he's trying to sell his football program a little bit. But it's clear Bryce Young is going to make a ton of money before he ever plays a down of football at Alabama as the starting quarterback. Mikey Williams, number one. I don't even think he's number one. Top 10 junior basketball player. He's a junior in high school going into this fall. So he's halfway through high school. Just signed with one of the biggest sports agencies in America. And it could be a millionaire before he gets out of high school, before ultimately he's accomplished anything. We're not even talking about, doing it at the college level. He's halfway through his high school career, and we're talking about him as a millionaire. Finally, this Quinn Ewers kid. Could make upwards of $1 million if he goes to Ohio State this year. And oh, by the way, even if he doesn't, if the Texas laws were written a little bit different, he probably could have made $1 million as a high school player this year. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. All I am saying is I do think it's an unintended consequence, and I do think it puts a ton of pressure on these kids. Pressure that is a lot for an 18-year-old. That's all I'm trying to say. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. But think about how we're professionalizing athletics for kids. It's no longer about playing. It's no longer about being part of a team. It's no longer about competing. It's no longer about getting better. It's simply about making the most money as fast as you can. That's good. Money's good. It makes the world go round. But there are, again, unintended consequences. Think about if this kid, Quinn Ewers, shows up to Ohio State tomorrow. Worth $1 million, going to make $1 million, but he's probably fourth on the depth chart, right? What happens if he doesn't play this year? What happens if he doesn't play next year? What happens if all of a sudden those Instagram posts that were going for however many thousands per pop stop showing up? Then what happens if dumb people in the media start labeling him a bust? We've talked especially this week about mental health of young people, and all I'm saying is I don't want anybody not to make money, but I do think it inherently puts a lot of pressure on 16, 17, 18, 19-year-old kids to be millionaires before they have accomplished anything. And it's something that, again, we have seen so often in sports before this. I've been doing this for so long. I mean, I can name you a million names. Lenny Cook was at one point considered the best high school player in America, even better than LeBron James. He has a documentary where he basically says at 16 years old, I started hanging out with agents. I started dating women twice my age, 20s, 30s, whatever. I got caught up and I didn't, I thought I had made it before I had made it. There's other examples in basketball. There's other examples in football. And all I'm saying is there's nothing wrong with making a little bit of side cash. But when you start talking about being a millionaire at 17, 18 years old, a millionaire, we're not talking about being a millionaire as a junior in college. We're not talking about Justin Fields last year being a millionaire after he's won a Big Ten title, been a Heisman finalist, made a college football playoff. We're talking about being 2 steps away from the pros, having accomplished nothing at the college level and already making that much money. So I don't know if this point is making sense. I don't want to keep rambling all night long because I do want to get to Chris Plank, but I just want to say, this is going to be a very interesting story, and I do think we're going to see more and more and more of these stories of players younger, making money, having to make adult decisions. Do I want to skip my senior year of high school? Do I want to skip my junior year of high school? Do I, what happens again, and I know it's a cliche talking point, but what happens when it doesn't work out? What happens when I have to transfer? What happens when I was the number 1 player in America and it doesn't work out? I know there's nothing wrong with making money, but I guess I just worry about it a little bit. And I think Quinn Ewers, he's the first example of the potentially slippery slope of name, image, likeness.